Hi, and welcome to today's webinar, Creating Abundance in Your Marriage. My name is Leah Pellick, Relationship and Intimacy Coach, assisting women in creating epic, soulful connection and amazing joy in their life and marriage. I work on both aspects, the emotional and the physical. Why? Because it's interconnected. When things are going on in the bedroom, when women are not experiencing pleasure and enjoyment and deep connection that we're meant to as women, other than medical issues that are going on for both husband and wife, it can often be a sign that there's something going on externally and outside their bedroom. It's for women, it's very hard to open and go into the bedroom to be with their husband sexually when they're feeling frustrated, exhausted, that their husband is just another child to look after, full of resentment, tiredness, lack of trust, lack of connection emotionally. It makes it very difficult for women to go into the bedroom and experience sexual pleasure and ultimate connection. Therefore, I work with both aspects. How to really get joy and pleasure through certain techniques and tips and tools in the bedroom, and emotional connection, the things outside of the bedroom. I have very specific tools and techniques that really help shift these automatic responses in our mind of reacting and actually changing them to a place of responding. How to be in a relationship where we're showing up as our full potential. When we get married, often or not, women lose a sense of self. They love to dedicate their time in being the best wife by doing all of these things, spending time waiting for the husband. And then when we have children, a loss of identity just deepens. We're giving to the children, we're giving to the husband. We can feel very resentful, very lonely, very frustrated, and almost sometimes depression. Because we have lost who we are, that spark, that life, that godliness that we were given. And we're just in the service of acting, of trying to be the best mom, trying to be the best wife. But ultimately, what are we showing up as? As someone that's frustrated, annoyed, maybe lack of patience, unhappy. And really, that's not who we are. And therefore, we're not showing up to our best ability. So what I want to address today is how to break this cycle and start creating what we really want in our marriage and in our life. When we are in this state of frustration, annoyance, tiredness, we cannot respond from a great place. So I would like to invite you to just have a little bit of openness today. You might hear some of these concepts that I'm addressing, but I'm going to bring it all together into reflecting and changing a brain wave in our relationship right now so that we have everlasting results to create a marriage that we actually want and we enjoy having. Right now in this world, we're living in a scarcity mindset. I don't have enough. I am not enough. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. I didn't have enough sleep. I don't have enough products. This mindset is like a lacking mindset, and it puts us naturally in a state of fear. Of like, I have to hold on to things. I need. Which often puts us in an unhappy place, a desperate, a stressful place, which obviously has an effect on our life. And when we're in this mindset of lacking, often or not, and fear, often or not, we go into control. Controlling a situation. Now, controlling aspect closes our vessel. It's a contraction because of the fear, which is natural, and it is also for protection. But as a woman, being the Mekabel, right, the receiver, the feminine form, our contraction closes our vessel. The man being the mushpia, the giver in the relationship. Look at our organs. The woman has a vagina. It's an open vessel. A man has a penis. It enters the vagina and gives semen to create. When a woman contracts her vagina based on fear, when there's no emotional safety going on, when things are not connecting outside of the bedroom, there's a contraction or trauma, or her own beliefs and so forth, there's a contraction. It's very hard for the penis to enter, it to be a pleasurable experience. So if we look in the life in general, when we contract, what are we doing? We're closing our vessel to receive anything. We might have a small opening to receive in a particular way, X, Y, and Z. But in general, we're so focusing on what we don't want, we're not able to receive from a bigger picture. And often or not, that closing a vessel and receiving from a certain way, we have mindset. I don't want to be like this. There's a negativity. I'm afraid of this. And we put our energy on the fuel of what we don't want. And we know that what we think and feel creates our reality. So I'll give you a personal story. When I first got married, I found out that we weren't making the money that we expected. And this obviously rang alarm bells that, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We don't have enough money. The lacking unsafety, which is natural. So what did I do to try and protect myself from that? I went into a state of control. When I go into a state of control, I'm saying that finance has to come through X, Y, and Z. And that's the way, because that's me trying to control to ensure that I have a certain outcome. That is not going down what I don't want. But because my energy is focusing on what I don't want, is a lacking, then what actually happens is I start to create my reality. Wherever I think and put energy on, it's going to start seeing evidence. Why? Because our mind wants to prove us right. So in my situation, when I went into control, I started controlling the finances. How we spent money, how my husband would work, how he should show up, how he should give. If he wanted to take me out, I'd say no, we couldn't afford it, and so forth. So I started creating this certain energy around financing that we don't have enough. Now what happened is that therefore when my husband, being the mishpia, wanted to give, and I wasn't receiving, what was this doing? Was pushing it away. So therefore he pulled back. We all know what it's like when we give a gift and someone turns it down. Do we want to do it again? No. Exactly the same with my husband. And then what actually happened is I started finding evidence to prove myself right, that we do have scarcity, that we are lacking. And obviously those thoughts about my husband, because it's very easy to think negatively about somebody else. When we're in a state of fear, we look at outside, what is harming us and what is going wrong outside. So like my fear, I started seeing what my husband was doing wrong and what he should be doing better to fix this fear of mine. Obviously, all those thoughts about my husband. So when I started focusing on this energy of the lacking, therefore I started finding evidence. Why? Because my mindset was, my husband isn't doing enough. He should be doing this, he should be doing this, he should be doing this, so that we create this response that I wanted. Nobody wants to be controlled. Look at children. If we tell them put them shoes on, what do? They generally go the opposite way. Okay, no one likes that confined control aspect. So what actually happened is I started seeing things to prove myself right. And then that goes to mistrust, and there goes resentment. And the vicious cycle of disconnect is created. And the more I felt that my husband didn't care, that didn't love, that didn't want to give, didn't want to work hard for us. This might not have been the reality, but this is what I was telling myself. Because I was afraid. And so here we can see that the power of the mind, the thoughts, the energy, the feelings that we have actually create our reality. So if we're thinking negatively, like I did about my husband, if I saw he was against me, that didn't care, didn't love, or I felt I saw the evidence that my husband didn't love, didn't care because he wasn't doing what I wanted him to do in a certain way. So I created all of these negative things about my husband, which was obviously reflected in my energy, which obviously created more disconnection and pain for both me and my husband. And as you can see, this dynamic could be easily affecting somebody's physical intimacy. So here we can see that the power of the mind, the thoughts, the energy that we're giving to any situation or any person can create a different reality. We all heard the experiment with water. When we think positively and lovingly to water, the crystals change. When we speak and think differently to water in a negative way, the particles change and look very scary. There's many people talking about this concept of gratitude. It's so common in this world. Positive thinking, feelings, because where your thoughts go, energy flows. Now it's so common, but a lot of times we think about it in our life and externally, like our job and what we want and our dreams and maybe what we talk about ourselves, but we don't generally bring it into our relationship. The relationship is the biggest tikkun that we have. Two halves of the souls coming together and trying to work and be together, but in that we have our stories and our backgrounds and our issues and all of that, and then we have to kind of refine each other, but we forget to use the basic skills of life in our marriage. Louise Hayes mentions about this. She talks about how positive thinking can cure illnesses. Rabbi Nachman talks about it, Rabbi Arush. So many people are talking about this. They want to bring it really down into marriage, because we forget to see how we are showing up in our marriage, and are we creating what we really want to create? Or are we sending the energy in the wrong way? Expressing gratitude, appreciation, admiration for whatever we're receiving right now. What does that do? It shifts our energy away from the negative and into something that we really want, that we may feel that we're lacking. And we know that when we give a gift to somebody and they say, "Thank you so much, I'm so happy, I love it," what do we feel inside? We feel happy, we feel connected between the two of us. It's almost like they're saying, "I really appreciate you. I appreciate all the effort that you went to." And how do we feel? We feel happy. What do we want to do? We want to keep on doing it. The same when our kids say, "Thank you, mommy," you're like, "Oh, I love you even more, I want to give again." This is the same dynamic within the relationship. And as a man, he generally is a mashpia, so he wants to give. For him to give and see his wife happy is him confirming his purpose in the world and that he's succeeding. Because that's the energy of a man, a mashpia, a giver. And women, as we have come to a concept where we've been so afraid to receive. Why? Because there's these myths that by receiving and giving gratitude that the person's going to stop or not want to do it again. They're like, "Oh, why bother?" Or not why bother, like, "She's happy, why do I need to give more?" That's never been the case. It's only inspiring people to do more when it's fully received and appreciated. Also, another myth is that if I appreciate and receive for every little fine detail, then really am I saying that I'm not capable and that I'm not okay? No, totally the opposite. Receiving wholeheartedly is actually saying, "I'm okay, I know that I'm capable, I know that I'm perfectly able and that I'm worthy to receive this, and it takes nothing away from my own capability." And actually receiving is a gift to the other person. So in a sense, we're giving at the same time. When we don't recognize what is being given to us this time, we can feel very resentful, we can feel very frustrated, feel very lonely, feel uncared for. And that is really important for us as women in our relationship. So you might be asking yourself the question, but I do give gratitude, and things are still a certain dynamic in the house. And I hear you, and I really appreciate that you are giving gratitude. Sometimes when we give gratitude, we need to be a little bit more creative of how we're giving gratitude, focusing on what we're feeling, what does it mean to us, what are those aspects that this gratitude is touching on, which I'm going to address further. We might feel that, what's the point of giving gratitude? I'm the one that's doing all the work. I know, it's painful to be feeling like you're the only one doing all the work and that you should be appreciated. totally, you should be appreciated. Everybody should be appreciated for what they're doing. And I know for myself, I had to get to that point of two people withdrawing and lacking appreciation for each other. Does that make it a better environment? No. I had to really look at myself and say, you know what, I'm going to appreciate for myself because I don't want to be in this lacking space. I'm going to take control of my energy and my thoughts because they're not conducive to me. And as a result, generally, when we change a dynamic like a tango dance, when somebody changes a step, the other person follows, that's generally what happens and is created in the marriage. It really gives us that power. Also, a beautiful thing about saying gratitude is saying like, hey, this thing makes me happy. And people are inspired to make other people happy because it ultimately makes them happy. Say, sitting there and saying, I have nothing to be grateful for about my husband. And I'm holding that space for you. It's a very painful space to be in. And I'm going to invite you to go a little bit deeper and go back to the pre-dating, to the dating, pre-marriage stage, to the dating stage. What did you appreciate? What did you admire about your khatan then? What are the attributes about him? And how can you see that now? It is one aspect. Our mindset, our energy, our thoughts. And this can be brought into the bedroom as well. What are we thinking and feeling in the bedroom? Before I go on to that aspect of how to really practically bring this into your day-to-day life, how do we have a healthy mindset in general? When we get married and have children and we're so stuck in being this perfect wife, perfect mother, of giving and giving and giving, which is actually against the woman's nature. Her nature is to receive. But it's so common for us to take on so many responsibilities to be the best, because if we just receive, then are we totally, in a sense, weak and incapable? Not at all. When we do and give and give and give, it takes us naturally into a space of frustration and resentment. Now, yes, we can change and work on our mindset, which is an everlasting thing and has beautiful results with changing the brain waves, but ultimately, alongside this, we need to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves, our basic needs of food, water, clothing, exercise, movement, the basic things we need to be taken care of. Because when we're in that state of exhaustion, depletion, it's so hard to think positively, so hard to think logically. We are running on nothing, and that often comes with a lot of aggression, resentment, or lack of patience. And we're really stepping into somebody that we really don't want to be in. We really don't want to. This is not us. This is not our light, fun self. So one aspect is that we have to stop and look at that scarcity mindset that we're having. It's like, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough energy. And finding time for us so that we can be healthy mentally and emotionally. To start implementing those basic needs. When we are tired and we're not eating, we cannot function properly. Therefore, thinking positively is going to take a lot more work and a lot more energy to get out of that negative cycle. When we're in that negative cycle, we will instantly go outside to see what is causing us harm and damage, because we're in that natural fighting state. And to get back in that, so we're not going into fighting all the time, we need to make sure that we're looking after ourselves. Along with the basic needs, we want to be touching onto our sparks, our passion, our desires, the things that light us up, activities, connection. So that's one aspect that's going to help us also emotionally. Okay, so we're not running on emptiness. Now going back to the mindset as well, because those negative thoughts can also drain us energetically, going in a big cycle. So how do we implement this? How do we bring it into our lives so that it creates constant change and creates a beautiful connection that is everlasting? Get married. It is so common that as time goes on, that life gets busy. We take things for granted. The same thing, if we've just been working so hard to get a new house, after a few years, the house is taken for granted. Okay, we forget to appreciate all the small things. We just focus on more and more and more. The same for marriage. We forget all of the hard work, all of the small gifts, all of the giving, and just focus on what's missing, which obviously doesn't increase. And it's seen as a lacking. They're against me. They're not doing what I want, and so forth. Disconnection. Very common to make things mundane and taken for granted or expected or assumed. And this energy, like if you reflect that back, I know when someone has that energy on me, it doesn't inspire me. And ultimately, all this negative feeling that I am having about my husband, ultimately, is so painful for me. It affects my day, it affects my marriage, it affects my work, it affects my relationship with my children. Every aspect, any emotional, negative emotion that we have affects our world. So really what changed for me in my situation was the fact that I was tired, I was hurt, I was so annoyed with seeing my husband as someone that doesn't like me, that doesn't want to give to me, that doesn't care about me. That was so painful. Was it reality? At that moment in time, it definitely felt like it, because why? My brain proved me right. That's what our brain likes to do. It likes to give us evidence to our thoughts because it likes to be right. Was it true? Not really. I was just so afraid and so closed, and seeing that only this way is proof that my husband cares. That's like saying, hey, you only care about me if you do X, Y, and Z. It doesn't work like that. And obviously my husband felt a certain way, and he brought that into the relationship also. So it created such an awful tension between the two of us of resentment, hurt, and pain. And obviously that bringing it into the bedroom has a huge impact. So how did I break this cycle? I looked at my thoughts. What am I thinking? What am I feeling about my life, about my marriage? Did I see him as another child, therefore I didn't see him as capable? Wasn't seen as trustworthy? Wasn't seen as reliable? All of these things about myself. What is marriage? Marriage is bad. What am I? How did I view myself in this? Where are my thoughts and energy right now in my life? And then flipping it. First, you have to see the positive statement to it. Have a sentence. And then, how do we bring it down? We're not here to lie to ourselves. We're not being manipulative. We're not using manipulation. We want to be real. So therefore, we have to find evidence of it being true. And if it's a small, tiny bit of truth there, meaning like they did it once, but we want to go a little bit broader. We might find truth specifically in that situation. I'll give you an example. Let's say if my husband, I'm missing help around the house, and I'm missing care, and therefore I want help around the house. My husband doesn't care about helping me around the house, right? So I'm missing extra help around the house. What does him helping me around the house give me? What is it showing? Or that he cares? So maybe I can find evidence that he helps around the house. He takes the bin out. Sometimes he washes his dishes. Sometimes he puts the toys away. Maybe I can find some evidence. But what if I cannot? Go one step back a little bit. Where can I see that he cares about me? Where can I see that he cares about the cleanliness of the house? He might fold the towels nicely. He might organize the cupboards when they get messy. Lots of examples here. We have to step back and see the bigger picture. Sometimes it is specifically in the area that we want, and sometimes we have to step back. We want to broaden our eyes and fully receive. When we make it very specific, then we get stuck in it X, Y, and Z, and therefore resentment comes. So we want to find the evidence. Even if that means going back to when you're dating. My husband was kind. He was a generous person. Find those qualities, and where can you see them in your life right now? Oh, he's kind to his family. He is generous with the Shabbat guests. Find it, write it down. Writing it brings it into concrete, And then to actually start changing our brainwaves, we actually have to verbally express it, so that our thoughts will start to change instantly to positivity. And also, as you can imagine, it's going to be projected, that positivity is going to be projected outwards. The husband is going to hear them and connects the two of us. And as you see, if you gave a gift, it's going to inspire another person to give more, because they're feeling appreciated, they're seeing someone happy, and therefore they're happy. And then from a happy place, when people are happy, they want to change and do more. Again, we're focusing on what we want to create. We're opening our vessel to receive more. Why? Because we don't want to feel lacking. We don't want to feel alone. We don't want to feel pain. We want to feel close with our husbands. We're tired of being alone and frustrated and annoyed. So gratitude is the remedy for resentment. Resentment is the intimacy killer. It naturally pulls people away. It's a yucky thing. But when we put gratitude instead, it brings us closer, and it brings positivity, and it brings more of what we want. And obviously, if you take this energy of appreciating, I know for me, when I started changing my thoughts about the finances and seeing how much my husband was hardworking, how much he was committed, how much he really valued my happiness. I remember one time I came up to him and said, "Thank you so much for wanting to make me happy." And he said, "If only I can give you more. If only I can make you more happy." And I was just blown away with his love and care. I just saw that, hang on a second, it wasn't the fact that it was never there. It was always that I just had covered my eyes because I was so afraid. When I opened them and saw, actually, look at all the ways he's proving to me that are natural to him. And I showed more appreciation. My husband gave and gave and gave. And I, in a sense, didn't feel that negative feeling. The more I felt loved and cared, the more I was in my positive mindset and creating more of what I want, I was stepping more into this comfortable, relaxed, less fighting, more receptive, which is my natural state. So I was showing up happier, playful, light. Again, we've got to make sure that we're taking care of our basic needs, because it can be very hard to be in that mindset when we're exhausted. We're not thinking straight. So expressing gratitude creates a new energy of connection. And taking this of feeling loved and cared and given to and wanted, right, as part of a team, then taking this into the bedroom, we're obviously feeling our trust. The husband is looking after us. There's lots of trust being shown here. That makes it easier going into the bedroom, so that we can open ourselves as that vessel to receive, to fear. We're not afraid. We can experience pleasure because no one's against us here. It's a safe space. I notice that whenever I show up a certain way in my marriage, that it's often reflected back. I remember when my husband is Israeli, I'm English, very different cultures. We say thank you, thank you, thank you all the time. That's not his first response. If I was to bring him a cup of tea or food, that doesn't mean he's not appreciative. It's just not his natural thing. And at first I felt that was a negative. I saw that and I hated it. I thought, why does he not care? Why does he not care? But if I just stopped and took away, he has to show me care through X, Y, and Z, and saw the care in general, that feeling of he doesn't love me, he doesn't care for me, disappeared. And what I noticed is that when I started showing gratitude, it became this common language in my relationship. The more I appreciated, the more he appreciated me. And why wait for somebody else to have what you want in your life? Also, the way we speak to ourselves is generally how we view everybody else. So what does that mean? If we're speaking negatively, if we have negative thoughts about ourselves, it will often mean that we're very quick to judge negatively about others. So really we want to bring this whole concept of positivity, energy and thoughts into our own lives for our own benefits. To think that I'm a bad mother, that I'm unorganized, that I'm not productive, I'm not successful. What is this going to do? It's going to make me feel terrible. Is it going to inspire me to change? No. So we also got to check in, where am I holding with my thoughts and gratitudes about myself? Yeah, I got up today and I did 15 minutes of yoga. Yes, I managed to clean today. And yes, I was able not to snap at my kids. And yes, I was able to do this. And yes, I was able to. And I'm great and I'm beautiful and I'm this and I'm successful. The words we tell ourselves creates a certain energy. If we're going around thinking negatively about ourselves, also, it's not going to make us behave in a great way. We're going to be highly strung and highly triggered. So our thoughts create our reality. We have the choice of where do we want to focus. And it got to the point for me that I was tired of thinking negatively. It sucked my energy. And I remember a funny story that I once asked my husband if he could help me with returning something to the shop. And he was like, sure. So he came with me. And I said, thank you so much for coming to help me. I feel so cared for. And he was like, thank you for buying me a Rogalach. And I was like, well, thank you for giving me the money. Because he actually physically gave me the money. So it was very funny that there's this beautiful connection going on. So this is what I'm going to invite you. If you really want to bring this home and really make this something that influences your marriage and has an impact on your marriage for the greatness, to bring more connection, more intimacy, more love, more happiness, and take you out of resentment, is to start writing a gratitude list every single day. Write what your husband is giving you. What is he making? How is he making your life easier? What is he do? What gifts is he giving? His time, his energy, his money. How is he showing up? What are these things you can admire about him? His qualities, his attributes. And write that down. And express them. Every day, express. Where are you seeing this? He took the bin out. How does that make you feel? Let's be creative with these. Not just thank you. Thank you for taking out the bin. Let's go a little bit deeper. Because thank you can just be something. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. No, let's go a little bit. Why are you thankful for the bin being taken out? For myself. I'm thankful that the bin is taken out. Why? Because it saves me. It makes him my hero. Literally, I hate taking out the bin. So I say, you're my hero. Thank you for taking out the bin. I literally say that. And obviously he glows. He wants to be my hero. You saved me from the bin. He gives me time to go and do yoga or run. Thank you for valuing my happiness. Thank you for wanting to make me happy. I feel so cared for that you want to see me happy. Or the fact that he's working. Thank you for providing for us. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for the roof over the head. Thank you for praying for me. Go down to the smallest things. Nothing should be taken for granted. Thank you for holding my hand. Thank you for touching me. Thank you for your nice comment. Oh, that made me feel gooey inside. Oh, I love it when you say it like this. Tell him what you love, what you want makes you happy. Because then we're going to create more of it. We're feeling good by confirming it. By confirming it, we're receiving. We're like, stamp, got that. Made me feel good. Now I feel good. Saying it makes us feel even better. Hearing it for the other person is also great. They're going to want to give more. It also is a way to guide what is it that we're wanting. It's not a manipulative thing, but let's say I love it when my husband holds my hand. Okay? And I say to him, oh, I loved it last night when you held my hand in the car. It confirms, oh, she likes that. That's it. I want to make her happy again, so maybe I'll do it again. Again, we want to make sure that we're not putting the expectations. It's just purely sharing how great something makes us feel. And seeing it in all aspects. Rather than focusing on what they're not doing, focus on what they are doing. It makes us feel so much happier. Makes us feel so much more connected. Sometimes really frustrating situations come up in our life, being married. Let's say our husband's working late and you really want time, and you're missing that time. So frustration sometimes and resentment can be an indication that one of your needs is not being met. And again, this is something I address in my course. That in itself needs to be addressed. What is it and how can it happen? At no point is gratitude covering up our desires. It's just actively choosing, where do I want to put my energy and what do I want to create. I know for myself, focusing on the negative definitely didn't inspire me in any way and didn't make my life happier. But never do we want to say, okay, so I'm frustrated my husband's never home, so I'm going to put a gratitude and ignore the fact that I need time. No, they're two separate things and they both need to be addressed. But just on today's one, we're talking about the active choice. My husband's working and I need time and I'm tired and I'm frustrated, okay? But is it going to help us to think negatively about our husband? No. It's going to just make us more annoyed, and they come home and we're more annoyed, and then we're like, why do I have to be so annoyed? And then we're more disconnected and we're more lonely. We're more frustrated. Okay, and generally from that space, no one wants to give and no one wants to be close and no one wants help. So choosing actively, I know that this is a situation and I'm going to choose to see value in it and to appreciate, why is he working late? Because he values giving us money. Okay, thank you for working so hard. See the value in it. Appreciate in that action. Some things can be really hard, but also knowing that there's a need of us that need to be filled, and that as ourselves, we need to take charge of that. I remember one time I came home from going out for a run, and I came into the house, and the house was a balagan. It was a crazy mess. And the first thing I walked in was like, yes, I had a small hope and desire that my husband would clean while he was looking after the kids while I was out for 30 minutes. Obviously, I walked in with that disappointment, was a sign that there was expectation, okay? But still, the reality is that I have a situation that I'm kind of bummed about. So I stopped and asked myself, checked in with myself, what is it that I really need right now? But first, I noticed my thoughts when my husband didn't do that. Why didn't he? And I went into negativity. And I was like, I just went for a rant. I don't want to ruin my negativity. I don't want to be angry at my husband. So I stopped and said, what can I be grateful for right now? Gratitude holds the vessel. Holds the self-care vessel, because you can be giving to yourself like crazy and you can still walk into a situation unless you know to shift your energy and your mindset, then and your energy and your mindset and your thoughts, then the self-care is going to go out of the vessel straight away. It's going to be nothing like I did this time. Walked in from a 30-minute run, came in and I was like already negative space. Ruined the 30 minutes of doing it, and I was like chose actively to stop and to think on the positive. And I was like, okay, my husband had the kids when I went for a run. He gave me that time, right? And then also, he also washed up. Maybe not all the dishes and didn't do all these things, but he did some. And appreciate it, and I actually expressed it because I wanted it to be confirmed. I didn't want my energy to come across as negative, and that I didn't appreciate the fact that he did look after the kids. Imagine if I came home and started complaining about all the things that he didn't do while I was out for a run. Do you think he's going to want to take the kids again? He probably will, but it's not going to be an inspired action. So really, really appreciating connects creation and focusing on what I want obviously creates more of that. Again, take this into the bedroom. How is it that your husband is pleasing you sexually? How are you enjoying it? Saying those words, oh, I love it when you touch me, it makes me feel so good. Oh, I love it when you do this. Or you're a great pleaser. And appreciating the physical intimacy, appreciating that I'm an open vessel and I'm so willing to receive. Oh, and the positive words about yourself. This creates more of what you want. Rather than, oh, he doesn't want to be with me, or he doesn't know how to touch me, or I'm not open, I'm closed, I'm so frustrated, I'm sexually blocked. Think about the wordings that you're using for yourself and change that also and focus on what you do want. So here's the activity that I'm going to invite you to do is write a list every day, express at least 3. I write a list of 10, I send them to my husband every night because that's what works for me. Don't have to do all of them, but I expect nothing in return because it's not for him. Of course he benefits. Of course he feels great hearing these words and it inspires him and it creates connection and it burns any resentment that there may be. But I ultimately do it to me because I want to feel great. I want to be in a positive space. I want to feel loved and cared for. I want to feel good. And I know my thoughts have an influence on that. So sharing them every day. Do it for yourself. Do it about your husband. So, and if you want support around this, I'm going to be opening a WhatsApp group. It's called Unlock Your Fullness. I did this a few times and it's been life-saving for many, many women, having that group to work on it every day, accountability. If you want to join that, email me. And as part of you listening to this webinar and being open to hear new things, new tools on how to implement more connection and more abundance in your marriage, I want to give you a gift of 30% off my upcoming courses. I have 2 coming. One is called Couples Intimacy 101, which I'm hosting with my husband. He works with male intimacy, and we are holding this workshop, and it's very practical skills, tools to go deeper into pleasure, sexual experience, reclaim that after you've had kids. Bring that holiness, the sparks, the desire into the bedroom. So powerful. So excited to be giving this. And then I'm giving a different workshop specifically for women, to learn powerful skills and tools and concepts and ideas and really bring them into their lives on how to respond in an empowering way that is going to help her show up as her true self, her happy, light, joyfulness, that's going to create a marriage that she is so happy to be in, a marriage almost that she didn't think was possible, where there's connection and fun and laughter. And that is all by working on ourselves and being able to communicate and express in the most empowering way. So if you would like to claim your 30% off on these courses or join the WhatsApp group, then you can message me and email me quoting Lightness 2021. Thank you so much for listening to this today. I hope you have found some value in this message. Bye.